The Doberman had the most baneful eyes I had ever seen on a dog. Not just sad. There was this well of grief going way back into their depths. No light of fun. We had seen the painted sign from the highway. Doberman, free, to give away. They sounded desperate. Joan and I had always wanted a Doberman, not just a dog. There was something regal, we thought, about the way a Doberman carried himself. We had wanted this one, but now that we could see him up close, the look in his eyes was a bit off-putting. I looked at the owner again. They say animals take on their owner's personality, but this fellow had a low-life look about him. Short, squat stature and face to match. I hesitated. Why is it that you need a new home for this dog? The man shifted uneasily, stared at the dog, scratched his moustache and replied, "Going away next week. Can't take the dog." He took a step closer to the dog, who sank down in an uncomfortable crouch. "He's a good dog, though. Good breeding in that thing." I felt a bit uncomfortable, but I could see Joan was set on this dog in particular. We took him. We had been living at the caravan park for weeks now, but it was on isolated beachfront and most people had a pet of some sort. Joan was all over the animal from the first day. Talk about feed. She must have been feeding the thing 3 times a day. No wonder it followed her about so faithfully. It had been hard to get Joan away from the van when we first moved there, but now she rushed through the morning so that she could take King. Don't look at me like that. She chose his new name. Yeah, she'd take him for a long walk along the beach. King did not take too well to me. He was not vicious, never vicious. He sort of got into the way of tolerating me. I guess he accepted me because Joan did. I noticed too that other residents were friendlier with us because of the dog. People with pets will chat you up when you are out walking with a dog. "Wow, that animal eaten you out of caravan and home yet?" Or the classic, if not original, "Bet you sleep well at night with him tied up near your door." If they only knew what a wuss he was, they would show him less respect. Joan and I kept that part of his nature a secret. It would not hurt for people to be a bit wary of King. The people in this park suited us fine. We were all pretty well retirees, lives well lived, and now hiding from our children. There was a lot of toing and froing with other vanners as we shared coffee in the mornings and friendly drinks over a barbie in the evening. No hoons, we were so far from a main road that the local pub. It was a comfortable life. Then the rot set in. Money started disappearing. It was the Colsons first. Colson knocked on our door about 7 on Friday night. He looked ready to punch me up, and yet I had just had a friendly drink with him in his annex to clinch the deal of buying his Tirana. "Col, what's up?" He almost choked on his rage. "You know what's up, you lousy turd. I would not have thought you could pull a Swifty on me, but to go back on our deal is despicable. Despicable, do you hear me?" I would have been hard-pressed not to hear him. I'm sure the whole park could hear him. "Wait up. I don't know what you are going on about. Say it like it is or shut up for God's sake." I was trying to calm him before I caught his mania. Cole shifted his stance and looked at me side on. "You paid me all right, but then when I turned my back, you pocketed the money." "Ah, look here, mate. I don't know what you are talking about, but I'm sure we can clear this up with some straight talking. Settle down and tell me the whole story." I could see he was confused. He simply needed a bit of time to sort out his error. I mean, he was getting on, you know. Even his wife Hilda had told Joan only the other day that he was becoming a bit daft. Cole did settle down once I offered him a beer, and we went over the transaction step by step. The facts were set out in sequence before us. I took the money over to his van about 6:30. He sat at the table in his annex. Then he counted out the bills I offered while I checked the paperwork of the sale. He slid the bills under the fruit bowl on the table and then turned to get 2 beers from the fridge. I moved outside the door to call Joan on the mobile, and then Cole and I sat to gossip a bit before I came back to my van. Cole had spilt his beer when his cat took a swipe at King, who was sitting quietly under the table, but apart from that, there was no indication of trouble. Hilda was not a good witness. She had been inside the van preparing dinner the whole time. Now that we had gone over the events logically, my hurt pride was taking over from innocent victim. I suggested to him that perhaps Hilda took the cash and then forgot to tell him. Cole has a face pockmarked with ancient craters of long-gone acne, and more recently traced by tiny fissures of broken purple veins. Now I thought he was going to erupt. Even his nose grew a deeper red, and the veins in his neck swelled to bursting. "Now you're accusing Hilda?" he thundered. Geez, I thought he was going to swipe me then. It was only King that brought him to his senses. For once, that galloping galoot was in the right time and place. King did not threaten. He just sort of leaned forward between the two of us. Not too noticeable, just enough to bring attention to his presence. Cole backed away. He did not believe my plea of innocence, and I was not going to give him back the Tirana if he had my money. It was lockjaw by 2 pig-headed old fogies. Cole threw the last of his beer down on the table. "You have to have taken it. I don't know how I'll prove it, but I'll get you, Steve, bloody Barrett." He swung through the flap of our annex and left me shaking at the knees. Of course he called the police. It was all most embarrassing, futile, just a lot of paperwork. By the next day, the whole park was abuzz with the story, and neighbours had taken sides. Joan and Hilda even had a Barney in the shower block. Joan came back to the van so upset she could not settle down for an hour after. She got dinner all mixed up. We ate sardines on toast with salad. Fruit salad. I wasn't game to say a word. What was happening between people who had started as such good friends was a crying shame. We were not that surprised when, after a week of the most uncomfortable confrontations, the Colsons up and left. Things went wrong from then on. The strange thefts kept occurring. Boxer and Madge split up because he swore he was giving her his payment on a Friday night, and she reckoned that he was pocketing it for his fancy woman down at the Swan Inn. In the end, he got jack of it and moved in at the Swan Inn. As far as Madge was concerned, that proved it. Alice Burns's 15-year-old ran away from home after she yelled at him for stealing the money she was saving for a reconditioned motor. Even the park office was broken into, though when the police checked it out, they could find no fingerprints or clues. The thief had blatantly pinched the takings that were ready to go to the bank, but funnily enough had left the bag with the coins. Only the bundle of notes had been taken. The back door had been left ajar, but the owner swore that no one could get past his little chihuahua without its barking. Best watchdog in all time, that one. Even barked at its owner if he came in of a sudden like. No, it was a troubled time all right. There was discord and distrust all over the park. People kept upping and leaving rather than stay and suspect each other. In the end, Joan said we may as well leave too. We had not had any money go missing. We guessed that it was because King had dug himself a sort of kennel den under the van. No one in their right mind would come too close to King. He had come to regard that as his personal property and would not even let us near it. Oh, we could go in and out of the van all right, but go near his precious place and his lip would recede from his face, showing a grin that prickled the back of your neck. We were sad to leave, but Joan was right. A person can't be happy if you are always looking over your shoulder and no one can look you straight in the eye. It doesn't take long to pack a van. By midday we were hooked up and moving out, with King taking up all the space on the back seat. As we looked back, we saw just how big King's excavations were. We better do right thing and fill that up before someone falls into it, hey, Cole? She was right, but I was hot and sweaty and champing at the bit to feel the cool breeze of the open highway. Yeah. I pulled the caravan over and unpacked the shovel from the front hatch on the caravan. When I walked back and looked down, I could not believe my eyes. The bloody hole was chockers with money. Trying not to draw attention to my movements, I called Joan over. She saw immediately what the problem was. There in the bottom of the hole was stacks of bills, 5s, 20s, even $100 bills. We could see a few pay packets half buried. We could not believe it. Joan took control. I married that woman for her clear head. Calmly, she began stuffing paper money into her carry bag. Just as cool as you please. Don't just stand there, Cole. Move that shovel and let's get out of here. We didn't stop till we were 2 hours' drive away. We didn't even talk about it. We each had our own thoughts. When we finally counted up the 6 months of money laundering that King had managed, we had over 2,250. We agreed that we should never tell anyone about this. And we didn't. Till now.